What's going on, fam? This is the day the Lord has made, and we're here to rejoice and be glad in it. I hope you're prospering and doing well today. I know we're still in this pandemic. Things are kind of crazy. These are unprecedented times, but I want you to know you still can maintain your sanity. I want you to be encouraged. Hold on to your faith that things will get better. Things will turn around. This is just a comma. It's not a period. It's just a bump in the road, a detour. It's not the end. So you guys be encouraged. Let's encourage each other. Let's keep praying and also using our sound mind. Bible tells us that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but he has given us love, power, and a sound mind. We love our neighbors by practicing social distancing, by being wise. And so he's given us that love. You know, he's given us the power to make the wise decisions, and he's given us a sound mind to think soberly. I just pray that even though we have faith, that all of us are still exercising our sound mind that God has given us. I want to thank you so much for being a part of the Hope TV. We started this venture. We've been doing media a long time, but we started the Hope TV a little more than 2 weeks ago, and it's been absolutely amazing, your response. Our first broadcast was on March 19th as just the House of Hope Atlanta, but we started a new platform called the Hope TV almost 3 weeks ago, and your response has been overwhelming. In just a short time, we're literally getting 50 to 100,000 viewers per program, per episode, per broadcast, and that's because of your amazing support. So if you're watching by Apple TV, Roku TV, Facebook, YouTube, if you're watching by Twitter, by Periscope, on the House of Hope Atlanta website or the Dewey Smith website, if you're watching through the House of Hope Atlanta app, whatever medium you're using to watch our telecast of Hope TV, I want to thank you for it. You've been quite an encouragement to us, and you've been blessed. Let me know where you're watching from. Just jot your state down right now while you're watching. Let us know. It's important for us to know where you're coming from so we can try to produce some content that's unique to your particular demographic. So I want to thank you for that. Also, if you've not yet followed us on at the Hope TV, would you please consider doing so on all things social media? We now have the Hope TV YouTube channel, which is brand new. Thank you for following it, so you can subscribe to that channel, and that way you can get notifications when different content is being added. You also can follow us at the Hope TV on Facebook. Those viewership numbers are growing. Also at the Hope TV on Instagram. We're almost at 1,000 viewers in a little more than 14 days, 1,000 followers, right? So you've been helping us. Hopefully you're going to push us over the top today, and we'll get over those 1,000 on IG. So thank you. And also Twitter. So follow us at the Hope TV. Let me know where you're logging on from. We're now presenting about 17 flagship broadcasts each week, and we're adding some more special broadcasts this week as well. So I just want to thank you for all you're doing. It means a lot to us. If you've not yet followed the church, follow the church, House of Hope Atlanta, on all things social media. And you also can follow me on all things social media, as well as you can follow me on the official page of Pastor E. Dewey Smith on Facebook. So just thank you so much for all you're doing. One of the programs that I'm extremely excited about, which was one of our first programs that we offered, I think this is our probably 6th or 7th episode of this program, is one of the first. It's called Financial Freedom. I believe it's very, very important because I think the economy will affect everybody. And sometimes information, we're kind of the last ones to get information. We want to make sure that we gave information and strategies and hook you up with resources during this time so we can live once this pandemic is over, as well as survive and thrive through it. And so financial freedom has been a huge, huge part of the Hope TV, and I want to thank you for your support. And to that end, we're excited today to have some powerful people. We're going to talk about a subject that we don't talk about often, but we're going to talk about today. It's this whole subject of real estate and investing in terms of real estate. And so we have with us three powerful persons who are going to share with us. The first is, of course, a part of our church family, and she has worked in so many different areas and professions. She is a native of my hometown, Macon, Georgia, 478-912, amen, South Macon. And so shout out to our other Maconites who are watching. She's from Macon, Georgia, and she grew up and excelled academically, and God has blessed her to live all over the world. She worked for many years in the record industry as a major record executive, and since moved back from California and after living everywhere, and now lives here in Metro Atlanta and has been working in the real estate industry for the past several years and is one of the top selling agents within the Keller Williams organization, particularly here in Metro Atlanta. We're excited to have her here. She's my home girl. I'm so excited. Miss Eleanor Linton. What's going on, Eleanor? How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm great. Glad to have you here. I appreciate you being here with us today. Then, of course, we have also with us another brother who really is interesting because he had been in real estate, but really took a risk several years ago when the economy tanked several years ago. When people were pulling out of real estate, it was at that time that he really invested. And where others saw obstacles, he saw an opportunity and invested heavily and bought out some businesses and clientele from those who were trying to start another career. And from a time of relative obscurity and a time when everything was topsy-turvy, he invested and now is a owner of Keller Williams Realty here, of his own branch here, own agency. And he's been doing incredible things in terms of real estate and investing. We're excited to have him here with us, Brother Merrill Johnson. What's up, Merrill? How are you doing, sir?
Hey, how you doing, Pastor? Thanks for having me.
Man, so glad to have you here. I really appreciate you. Then last but not least, we're excited to have with us a brother who's also a part of our church family. Has been very supportive and has been in business and finance and real estate for many years. He's helped so many people, has a heart of gold, and he has distinguished himself as being a professional, someone who's very, very qualified, very learned, and he works on behalf of real estate agency and brokerage. He works for Sims and Associates, his own firm. We're excited to have him here, my friend and brother and Hospital of Atlanta member. Happy to have him with us today. So happy to have here, Brother Sims. How you doing? Brother Michael Sims, how you doing, my friend?
We are doing fine and happy to be here and just excited about the opportunity and just appreciate you having each of us.
Excited. Glad to have you. Excited. I want to start with the ladies first, and Ella. So since you are the lady in the group, I want to start with you first.
Sure.
I want to just see. I know you do a whole lot of sales around here. I want to get your current take and opinion on the market, particularly since the pandemic. What have you seen? What have you viewed? What would be some of your observations of what's happening now, real estate wise?
Well, fortunately, I primarily work in the South Metro, cover the South Metro. And fortunately, we have not seen that big of a change. The prices seem to be stable, seem to have stabilized some. However, we have not seen a major dip in sales. We are still busy. Uh, we have those people that are concerned with our on the listing side, people that are concerned about strangers coming into their homes. But we are combating that with things like virtual tours and things of that nature. Before, but now we're just trying to be creative with the way we show homes now. And we're using it now more as a form of social distancing. And so it's working out. But fortunately, sales are we're still selling real estate.
Great. Merrill, let me ask you the same question. Based on your observation, I know you sell all over the city, but you're in a different area, headquartered, different area, southwest side perhaps. What has been your observation in terms of real estate since the pandemic?
Well, typically during the spring months where we are, this would be the season that we would be extremely, extremely busy with a lot of our move up people, especially people that have student age children that are wanting to normally move before the school year starts in the fall. And I'm very busy, but not in the way that I'm accustomed to being busy. So a lot of the clients that I'm used to seeing, I'm seeing different types of demographics of people instead of those families. And like Elnora said, a lot of families are not accustomed to having the strangers come in during the COVID, and they're not as comfortable. So a lot of the homes that I'm listing tend right now to be vacant. And if they are homes that are occupied, I am spending a good amount of time to make the people comfortable with how we're going to allow the homes to be shown. And once we sort of make everyone comfortable with that, people are finding that it's going to be fine, and we educate each one of the agents that's going to be bringing buyers to the home. We try to limit the numbers of people that are going to attend and really kind of make them show the house the way that we're comfortable, such as, going in, leaving your clients outside, and then maybe wiping down everything, opening all the doors so that when the people come in, they don't have to touch anything.
Great, great. Mike, I want to ask you, Mike, I want to ask you the same question. What has been your experience and what's your observation real estate-wise since COVID-19?
What I'm experiencing is a climate where obviously this is all new to us, and we're having to adjust to a lot of different aspects of it. So I'm going to call it, we've had to turn everything up to a level that we haven't before, meaning that every parts of just showing a house now becomes very different. It's never been a problem to show a house. It's just the ways in which you go about it, setting the home up if you're on the listing side and you have someone on the market. But now it becomes, if you communicate it a lot, and that I'm a great, because I try to be the best communicator I can be while we're doing business. But now it's all about having people knowledgeable about how you're going to do it. It's all about the how to. You're going to be able to get this home and get somebody in there. Obviously, one of the best case scenarios has already been mentioned, and that is to make sure that you have some homes that are vacant. If the homes are vacant, then it's great, and it's not a problem. But it's now just you have to turn up your idea of communicating. How are we getting this done? And as Elnora mentioned, we're now talking about virtual tours, but getting someone in that home is paramount, especially if the home is occupied. But what I can tell you as well, I'm normally in the Gwinnett area and working. People are still buying. People still want to market their homes. People certainly do want to sell their homes. So it becomes paramount that you know how you're going to do that and communicate effectively to be able to get that across to buyer and seller alike.
Great. Mary, let me ask you this question. We're hearing a whole lot about banks and in terms of many banks that are struggling, but also banks that are receiving, governmental subsidies and help during these times. What has your experience been with the banks recently in terms of them still financing homes? Have you seen a different in terms of your clients, their relationships with banks over the past couple of weeks?
Absolutely. And being a pretty busy realtor, we tend to have a pipeline. And so at any given moment, people could be at any stage of the process in the pipeline when this hit. And depending on where you were, programs that existed that may have been, viable at that time are now no longer, some of them are no longer the same, some of them no longer exist. And if you had not finished the process and been approved and closed, some of those people were declined for loans. And that's very disheartening because there would have been no way to really prepare for it. A lot of the credit score requirements have tightened up and have increased. So whereas credit scores could have been as low as a 580, now we're seeing most of them coming in more like 640 middle credit scores. There have even been some as high as 700, which is pretty high. So
Wow.
all of the lending is really based on risk factors. And so right now, when 20 plus million people lose a job within, 10 days or so, there's a lot of risk that's out there. So of course, all of the criteria gets a lot more tight. So, but we are still doing what that made me do is really spend time when I'm meeting new buyers, really tightening up the buyer consultation that I'm going to do with them before we get started. So I'm very interested in people turning in documents to lenders and really getting everything in so that we really know where they are so that we can move quicker through the process.
So you said the 700, that was a score that was denied or the score that was
No,
needed in order to
no.
buy?
Well, there have been, like Chase Bank, for example, now has a 700 credit score requirement. So if you do
Minimum.
not have that as a credit score minimum, then you are not eligible for financing with that institution. Most
Wow.
others right now are more like around the 640 middle score range. So there are three scores that are there. So it's the one in the middle that is really the used to drive the financing.
So Eleanor, I've been watching and very closely, and I do know that a lot of rates have been dropped and reduced significantly over the past couple of weeks in terms of people trying to buy or people trying to purchase. Rates that we haven't seen in recent years. But according to Merrill, what you're saying is that really doesn't help a lot of people if the credit score requirements have increased. Have you had any clients who have been positively helped by the lowered rates?
Absolutely. I actually just have a client last week. He had been pre-approved by a different lender over a month ago, and the program that he was going to use went away because of COVID. So he just went under contract, and he was able to get it at 1% lower, which helped him to get the loan. We are seeing some of that. The rates are lower right now. They're probably at their lowest point in a long time. We had some volatility for a while, for a couple of weeks there, but they have been maintaining at a low rate. Seeing them down in the threes, so which is not something that we had seen before. But right now, if people have the score, I suggest that they go ahead and get in while we do have these lower rates. Um, because I have a feeling that in a few weeks we may see a change in that.
So, Michael, let me ask you this question. I know that a lot of people, myself included, when things kind of went crazy back in '07, '08, '09, a lot of people were negatively affected. A lot of, we were always raised the American dream, go to school and buy your home. Home ownership is the American dream. And since 2008, a lot of people have questioned whether or not home ownership was overrated. A lot of people went up, underwater, and a lot of people went upside down in 2008. My question to you is, do you see any opportunity for people to kind of make up some of that deficit, those who may be upside down in their homes right now? Is there any strategy? Is there a conversation amongst those you in real estate, Michael, in terms of helping people to get back solving a solid?
Yeah, there is certainly space and a place for that. You bring up that time, and even in the past, when you bring up that time, it makes me remember it was almost like it was yesterday that we had that turned down. We all were, I would say, not, I guess I can say blindsided in ways, because in Atlanta, here in Georgia, I would say working here all my life, I didn't think it would happen. I certainly didn't think it would happen to the level that it did, but it did. So people have been negatively affected since that, but based on severity, give an example, if people, and there were a lot of short sales, obviously banks allowing you to short sell your home. There was a lot of short sales and foreclosures. Let's just say the people that took advantage of the short sales, they were able to buy within 3 years, a lot of them, if they wanted to. Why? Because it was always our suggestion, at least mine, and I think the other panelists would agree, that if that 3 year period came and you had put yourself in a position, you actually got credit, if you would, I'll say it like that, to be able to purchase because you went the route. You didn't just abandon your home with a foreclosure. You went ahead and stayed in your home, and then the bank gave you an opportunity to short sell. 3 years later, you come back and you could actually be ready to purchase again. So that let me know that there is space to do that because it was then and it will now. Hopefully, our economy doesn't hit a point where we have to see it to that level again, where there are a lot of foreclosures and short sales. But let's be honest, um, there will be some fallout, okay, in this instance, but there is time to get yourself in a position to buy. And let's just say if that's not the case, where you ultimate case, worst case scenario, lose your home, you still want to maintain the idea of keeping credit good. And if your credit is good now, as Eleanor said, you certainly want to take advantage because lenders are still tempting to do business, and they want to do business. We do know that. Banks, mortgage companies, and all of them, they certainly want to do business with people. It's just that things are tightening up in a way that we have not seen for, I would say, since even that time. But if your credit is good, then you're ready to do business. And obviously, if you're selling, you turn around. If you're buying, depending on if you're buying or not, you're having the opportunity to buy as well based on credit, because we know it's all about credit. It's all about what have you done? How is a lender looking at you? And in fact, are you a good risk?
Michael,
And
Meryl, let me ask you this
also,
question. Go ahead, Ellen. Go ahead.
one of the things I also wanted to mention was a lot of people have a lot of equity. They bought back in
Hmm.
'07, '06, '07, and they have a lot of equity in their homes. So many of them are close to retirement. They're thinking about retirement, lower rates to refinance. And many people are doing that. Also, this is a time to sell and take that equity out and downsize. The kids are all grown now, and they're thinking about retiring in the next several years or whatever. So this is a good time to sell. So that's something that we're seeing a lot of.
Hmm.
Yeah, Meryl, let me ask you this question. I'm glad you mentioned that, Ellen, because I was going to throw that question to Meryl. But Meryl, let me ask you this. My father was heavily invested in real estate. So as a
Hmm.
kid, that's all I saw. I mean, I saw him. I would go with him to pick up rent, whatever. So I was very, very aware of that. My environment, the importance of having your own and investing in real estate. And I got into it very early, my early 20s as well.
Hmm.
But of course, when everything began to tank a few years ago, it made a lot of people leery of investment properties. I want to get your opinion on that since all these things are happening. What is your opinion on people who are looking for opportunities through short sales or, what may happen with the economy now? What is your opinion on investing in real estate properties? And I know you're in the real estate business, but I want your objective opinion on it. Not just your salesperson hat, but both sides of that equation. What do you think about this being a good time, Merrill, to invest
Hmm.
in real estate?
Well, I agree with Warren Buffett, and he says that when people are fearful, that's when we need to be greedy, and when they're being greedy, that's when we need to be fearful, and that's really how I feel about it. Many people, it's true. I think that, and I said this earlier, real estate is one of the basic necessities of life. You have food, clothing, and shelter. And no matter what is going on, people need a place to live. And whenever it is that you need to move, that is the right time to buy some real estate. And I got my real estate license just after September 11th. So I began my career at a time of great uncertainty, national uncertainty, really global uncertainty, because right away we were in two wars, job loss, a lot of the things that are going on right now. So to be able to maneuver through a lot of those waters, I cut my teeth on that. So I didn't even know another way. So I wasn't afraid. I probably, let me see, probably about 7 years in when the downturn that you guys talked about. came, and we had to learn a new way of doing business. And as people left those homes and walked away from those homes, those were still real estate transactions. And so people needed to buy those homes, and there were buyers. And what I noticed is that a lot of investors show their faces: hedge fund investors, foreign investors, people that really have a lot of money, major money, showed up and contacted us. People that would buy the house sight unseen, that were not emotional about what it looked like, that saw it as an investment. And I began to really learn more. So anyone that I respect, no matter what industry they're in, has something in real estate. Oprah Winfrey does media, but she owns real estate. You know, People that I respect all diversify and also own real estate. There is no more land being produced. And no matter what, if you buy it when the prices are low, and just hold it, rent them out, flip them, short term rentals, all of those things, you have to have a plan. And anybody that I respect also that's practicing real estate, although we are salespeople, we are also investors usually too. And if there's something that's really hot, it won't get to sell because I'm going to buy it. So because we get to see the opportunity, we get to see the opportunities first. So we need to be, um, as just lay people, we need to be cash ready. We need to not live up every dime that we have to our name, so that you can be ready to take advantage of these opportunities when they present themselves.
That's that's it. Michael, let me ask you this question in terms of buying. I know we talked about now the rates have been lowered significantly, but also we see that the requirements have also been increased significantly in terms of being credit worthy. Are there any more stipulations that you've seen in terms of what's needed or what do you have to have with banks in order to be able to buy? Because I mean, there's some people now who encourage, we've been talking about investing. So what are some of the basic things a person would need? Is there a certain percentage you think banks are asking for now? I remember when we did commercial buying 20 years ago, 15 years ago, they want to have 20% down. So is there any particular rubric that's needed, Michael, in terms of when you're ready to buy? Because I think it's a very important point for people to know that now I'm ready to actually invest.
Right. I look at that as being primarily, I'm going to say the same. Same meaning that there's always been basic requirements, as we mentioned and talked about credit scores, as we talk about just job stability, uh, as we talk about everything that a lender uh, is going to put together for you in terms of your loan is going to be the case now. Again, it's as it has already been mentioned by Mel that, okay, well, the scores might need to be a little bit more. Down payment wise, you still can do, let's just say, a standard FHA loan for getting a loan for a first time home buyer, or you can look at first time home buyer opportunities that exist for some banks and mortgage companies. But I will tell you that you must be in a position where the rules are not changing, where homes are just being, I'm going to say, given away. In fact, they are being tightened up. And for just overall, you want to purchase. So I wouldn't say that. And I'd say that, just like I said, about having to come out of what we did several years ago. Everybody had to regroup when they had that turn down. But at the same time, if now you weren't a buyer even looking to buy at that time, you now have the opportunity to take advantage of a market where, let's just say, you were out there with a lot of people. Right now, it might not be as many people wanting to buy based on, let's just say, their job, and they're not essential workers. They don't have the money. They don't have the situation. They just are trying to keep a roof over their head. So I would say the basic requirements are still in fact in place, and you still would need to be ready for even an opportunity where you had to put no money down, or even if you had to put a traditional 3.5% down, or even if you were looking and you had money and you were able to put, let's just say, a 20% down. You still want to have your basic information that the lender is requiring from you ready, and have you in a position to where when your offer is presented as a buyer, then you are looked at by the other agent. If there's another agent involved that's selling the home, you want to be in the best position presented to that seller that you can be, because it is still about what is the offer that I'm getting and what is my net proceeds that I'm going to take away that's being looked at.
That's great. Eleanor, a couple of years ago, I think one of the things I think that was actually subsequent to the housing burst and the economy tanking back in 2008 was the rise of, adjustable rate mortgages and interest-only loans. I think it got a lot of us, in my experiences, I dealt with a lot of people, even within the church, in my own investing. A lot of people were adversely impacted because we were able to get in something that was more than what we probably could traditionally afford, and for lower payments. And then when those chickens came home to roost, it put a lot of people in a bad position. What kind of advice would you give about that now? Is that still going on now in terms of interest-only loans? I just want to get I want to just dive into that a little bit more, because my case, some incredible things like, what should we look for in terms of being eligible, in terms of what should my payment be? What, if I want to buy a home, what does that look like in terms of my income?
Well, the interest-only loans and the adjustable rate mortgages were just slaughtered our community. And fortunately, we're not seeing a lot of that. There are some still, particularly adjustable rates, but those people usually have the cash. These are people that with high incomes and with the cash, and that they know they can make these balloon payments and things. Right now, what we are seeing, the majority of what we do are FHA loans, 3.5% down. And we are doing some, of course, conventional. But the thing is, one of the things I try to tell people, even if you think you're not ready to buy right now, is have a conversation with the lender so that you can find out exactly where you are financially. And you can intelligently go into this transaction, because it is a major transaction. And know your credit score. Know what's on your credit score, on your credit report. And keep track of your finances, particularly if you are self-employed. About earlier was the people who are, we call it statement loans, bank statement loans. They've gone away for right now. People have the funds, they have the credit score, and they are basically basing their income on what is on their statement. And they may have obviously they have income records. That has gone away for right now. And so there are a lot of opportunities. There are down payment assistance programs, which usually require a pretty good credit score, around 680. What I suggest is that people have a conversation with a realtor and with the lender, so that they can be walked through those steps and they'll know what the requirements are, and they can find a program that is tailored to fit their particular needs, because it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of situation.
That's great. Meryl, I want to talk about this whole moratorium seemingly that banks are putting on people who may have lost income, in terms of forbearance, or in terms of even, those who may have been in foreclosure. Just in case that somebody's watching now who's in a pickle because of the economy, what kind of advice would you give persons right now who are trying to keep the home from being foreclosed, and maybe can work out a deal with the lender or with the real estate company to sell it, what kind of advice would you give that person right now who probably needs to get from under that load and sell their home?
Well, first, I would speak to those people and make sure that we're really talking to people that absolutely have no other recourse. Because a lot of people think, oh, the government is just giving out some money, but we are the government. The money doesn't just come for free. So a lot of people think that there's free money that's going to be given out. So first, I want to make sure that people that are going to take advantage of any kind of a forbearance, that they're doing that as an absolute last resort, because oftentimes if you've been in that home for any length of time, you really should be in some sort of equity position, or maybe have a 401k or some other savings that you may have, because everything is not going to always be pushed to the end of the mortgage. Some people think that if I miss one, two, or three payments, that the lending institution is just going to push it to the end of the loan. And in some cases that may happen, but there also are times that you may get yourself in a pickle, because maybe they're going to let you miss those three payments, and then they're going to collect a big balloon payment all at once. So, you've got to think of, if you have equity in the property, does it make sense for you to sell? If you do sell, then where are you going to go? Because oftentimes a rent may be more than the mortgage payment. It just depends on your situation. So I think the best thing that you can do, the first thing that you can do, many people that lost homes in the downturn of 2008, many people lost those homes because they failed to communicate. If the collection calls are coming and you're ignoring the call because you don't want to deal with the pressure of, being in that situation, I understand that. But the best thing you can do is gather information so that you can make the right decision for yourself. It's great to have a realtor that you trust and someone that's in your Rolodex that you can reach out to. Yes, we're salespeople, but we're also consultants. And so we sit down with people many times, because for me, it's never just about that one sale. Yes, I want to sell you a house, but I'm more interested in getting referrals from you and having business for a lifetime. So there are many times that I go sit in a living room or take a phone call that has nothing to do with a sale, presently. So if you consult with people and sit down and share your situation, share where you really are, then we can really tailor that information so that it's specific to your situation and help you create a solution that's going to work for you.
And kind of
This
piggyback
is
on
great.
that as well.
Please.
And really, Meryl makes an excellent point in terms of communication. And you remember me saying earlier, we are here to serve. And part of that serving is getting to know your situation. And Elle mentioned this as well. We've got to know the situation, but we also have people, let's just say, that are lenders that Elle talked about, that we know how they work. And a lot of times that communication that you need to have, if you don't have it, then you're not progressing and moving yourself forward. You have to have that communication. I love the fact that I've worked with mortgage companies and banks that I know, particular lenders, I know how they work. And each of us, and I think they will, everyone would agree that you have to get the people that you can match with these buyers to know what their situation is. And if you don't do yourself that service, and if we don't help you try to do that service, it's really a disservice that's happening. Make sure that you communicate. I can't even emphasize that enough, and allow us to get people that will help you, because again, we know how they work. We know how they work because we want somebody working the way we want. And when we transfer people, for an example, to lenders and make a referral for a couple of lenders, it's all about, I know how they work. I know how they're going to speak to them. I know how they're going to be treated. And guess what? When they tell me the person is in a situation where they let's just say, for instance, can't buy right now, they need a roadmap. If the person is willing to follow that roadmap, then they're on their way. Okay, say if, for instance, if they are in a position to buy, they want the best deal out there. Everybody wants a great deal. I do too. So let's make sure that lender that we are having you talk to, that they understand what you want. And if they can accomplish it, we know they can. We have faith in them. When I turn people over to lenders, I know what they can do. And I want the people to have that confidence in them as well. So make sure that communication with that lender and that person that's giving you a roadmap, please put the plan. It's all about a plan. And part of that plan is talking to that lender.
Yeah, all three of you have been incredibly resourceful today. I want to thank you for your time. And as we get ready to close this session, I look forward to having all of you back on in the coming weeks to kind of continue this conversation. But as we get ready to close the broadcast, Ellen, I want you to give one bit of advice or encouragement to people who are trying to buy, sell, invest, they be in trouble. What would your one piece of advice be? And then second, to tell people how they can get in touch with you personally if they want to do business with you.
So my advice right now is if you want to buy or sell real estate right now, go ahead and do it. Know your financial situation, know your financial status, know your numbers, and get with a realtor you trust. And just like he just said, know so that you will, we know the lenders and we know who can do what and we know how they operate. So be honest with your realtor. Give us the information that we need, and we will be more than happy to get you with the right lender. So know that real estate is still being bought and sold right now. And if you are interested in the market, then we are available. I can be reached at www.elnora.godurhamteam.com.
Thank you so much. Merrill, one bit of advice for those who are buying, selling, struggling, trying to invest, trying to sell, and then let the people know how they can get in touch with you as well.
Absolutely. I think that we are in a very unique window. This is an election season. And when people are trying to get your vote, they are not going to allow these interest rates to go up. After the election season is over, it will be the holiday season. We need money to be spent. We've just kind of gone into a season where our spending is slowing down, and it affects the economy. The stock market is up and down. And so right now, again, while everyone is fearful, that is the moment to move. So if you're just curious, it costs nothing to have a conversation about where you are. To take advantage of any kind of a real estate opportunity when things are slower or where things are down is the moment that you really want to really step in there. The people who purchased homes from 2008 to say 2012, 13, many of those people are sitting on six figures of equity just because of the timing. So timing is critical. You can't save money fast enough to make up for the time. So I think that's the first thing I would say. And again, consider us a resource. I can be reached on Instagram at Mansions by Merrill or by my mobile number, 404-246-3333. I'm always available to be a resource for you. Thanks, Pastor, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Michael, anybody who maybe want to buy, sell, invest in trouble, what is one bit of advice you would give to those aforementioned groups, and how can people contact you, please?
Well, one piece of advice I would certainly give, and as all of us are of Christian faith, is making sure that you're listening to that voice that you always listen to, and that is the voice of God. I can assure you the answers that we need now are plenty. If it just happens to be you're looking to buy or sell a home, certainly you'll know and seek him for the answer to even pursue the opportunity, or even pursue the opportunity for now, sometime in the near future, or sometime in the foreseeable future as a goal. You can reach me on my website at simsteam.com. You can reach me on Instagram at Sims and Associates. You can reach me on Twitter at Sims and Associates. You can as well reach me at Sims and Associates on LinkedIn. We're here as a resource for you, and I just pray for everyone out there that whatever situation you're in, even if it's not real estate related, that, as has been said before, and I'll say it again, we'll get through it. It will be challenges, but we'll get through it. It'll be difficult for some, more than others, but guess what? We'll get through it. And I applaud each of you all, and I thank you, Pastor, for having myself as well as the others. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Merrill and Michael, you guys have been incredible. You've been invaluable. And I pray God's richest blessings on you during this season, that when so many others are fearful, and I pray that God's going to stabilize you, and as you help others, that God's going to do the same for you, because you're really sowing seed, and when you're helping people find that stabilization, you're right, Merrill, it's important. It's a prerequisite for our lives. So I hope that during this time that you would not just survive these times, but that you thrive through them as you help others. And I really appreciate all of you for your time. May God bless you and your families. Those of you who've been watching, you've been watching this segment of the Hope TV. This is our 6th episode of Financial Freedom, and we spent this time to discuss real estate, investing, selling, and some of the nuances. We're going to come back in a couple of weeks and perhaps have this same group back on again to see how things look as we get further through the pandemic, to see what's happening, because the market's so volatile. But I appreciate you. Those who've been watching, you want to get more information, we have the most confidence in all of our panelists today, and depending on the area you live in, just reach out to them. They are available. They have resource to us. You don't have to figure this thing out. Don't reinvent the wheel. These are some credible, reliable sources that we recommend for you to have those conversations and see how they can best impact you and your journey, so we can all have financial freedom. I pray you all blessed. I hope you're encouraged. And always remember this as we log off: if you will be good to God, God will be good to you. It's tough right now. I promise it is, but we will get through it. Hold on to your faith. It's going to work out. Thank you again for being on. We'll see you next time. Peace.
God bless.
Thank you.